Hi everyone, welcome back to Clat Possible. I hope all of you are doing great today and ready for this session on vaping and its legality. So you must have seen that e-cigarettes have become very common. Vaping has become very common in India and across the globe, in fact. And there is a lot of confusion about its legality. Some people believe that vaping is illegal, unlawful, and then that's it's a crime, and then that there is a punishment for it, while others have no idea about it. So a lot of misinformation is there out there. So today we will understand what is the true legal position with respect to e-cigarettes or vaping, as we call it. Okay. Without taking any more time, we start this session, and I would request all of you before we start that if you have not subscribed the channel, please do it already, because a lot of Clat relevant specific content is being uploaded here for your benefit that will enhance your legal awareness to a great extent. Okay, so yeah, we start. See, the first thing is about e-cigarette is whether what is the law there. Is there a law at all, or is it the same law that governs tobacco and cigarettes traditionally? The answer is no. Clearly, there is a different law for it, which is called PEC Act, and the full form to this act is Prohibition of Electronic Cigarettes Act. This is EC Act 2019. Do understand it's a different law. There is another law that deals with tobacco and cigarettes, which when consumed in a traditional way, right? But this is the specific law for vaping and e-cigarettes. Okay, so e-cigarettes, we all know, are the alternative to traditional tobacco consumption, right? It's digital in nature, and there is some difference even in the component also. We won't go into the science and technicalities of the product, but we just need to understand that what is the legal position with that respect. Okay, so first of all, we read the object and purpose of the act, which says the act aims to protect public health. Of course, that's the protection of securing public health by controlling the commercial ecosystem. Look at the look at the very objective of the law. It says controlling the commercial ecosystem, राइट. सो अभी इसका आपको जो ट्रू मीनिंग है वो समझ में आएगा कि कमर्शियल इकोसिस्टम का मतलब क्या होता है. सो इट बेसिकली रेफर्स टू द एंटायर बिजनेस setup or businesses that are taking place around e-cigarettes, right? So it gives me an idea that maybe the commercial usages or commercial acts related to vaping are prohibited. But let's delve deeper into it, and let's try to understand what really it means. So it targets production. That is, you can't manufacture, you can't produce, right? No company, no individual, no entity can manufacture, produce the vapes or e-cigarettes. Import, of course, you cannot import it from some other country. You cannot buy it from other country. You cannot bring, as an import. You can't export. That is, you can't send it from India to some other country. You cannot transport. Okay, that is, you can't carry from one place to another either by means of by airways or by railways or by roadways. You cannot, even by sea ways, you cannot transport it. You cannot definitely sell it. Very important. Distribute nahi kar sakte. You can't have a distribution channel for it like you distribute other things. You can't distribute e-cigarettes. You can't simply allocate these to people. You can't store the e-cigarettes. Very important. Storage is when you keep the product in large quantity for the purpose of selling, maybe, right? Again, the purpose is commercial in nature. And advertisement. So one thing you must have seen, which is common in the entire definition, what is permitted, what is not permitted, is all these activities are commercial in nature. These are commercial activities, business activities, that it gives us an indication that probably Non-commercial activities are kept behind, out of the purview of punishment or prohibition. The focus is on supply side, that is business side regulation, but not personal consumption. Now, this is a very, very important piece of information, and there is a lot of myth around it. So let's burst that myth. There is no mention whether the consumption of e-cigarettes, that is whether the smoking of vapes and whether vaping in itself is prohibited or not. The act is silent. You see, the act is, I would say, silent, completely silent about personal consumption or personal usage of these products. So now what does that lead to? What is then, whether it is punishable or not? What is the legal position when a law is silent about a certain activity or when it is silent about a certain aspect? That's where we need to understand the law, right? What happens when nothing is specifically mentioned? So we will understand this. As of now, we just saw that personal consumption is not talked about. So is it prohibited or permitted? We will just see. Section 4 of the same act prohibits, I said, commercial and trade activities. Okay. Then that includes manufacture. All of these things I have already explained. Again, there is no reference to any personal use, okay, or even possession. No reference has been made in the entire law for possession of e-cigarettes, smoking of e-cigarettes, right? Or even buying e-cigarettes. Three things have not been specifically talked about. I write it here. Buy के बारे में कुछ नहीं है, use या फिर smoke के बारे में कुछ नहीं है, और even possession के बारे में there is nothing in the law, right? Now some of you may be getting confused between possession and storage. I am sure, but there is a difference. I will explain that to you. Storage is when you keep something in store, in godown, and when the storage is for the purpose of resale or is related for business activity, that's called storage, right? But possession can be individualistic, for individual purpose, for one's own use. That's also possession. So I have this marker right now, I'm using it, it is in my possession, yeah, and but I've not stored the marker, right? There is a difference. If I have a stock of markers which is kept for sale, I can say that is for storage. But right now I am just using the marker for my purpose, for individual purpose. So that is just a possession. तो तीन चीजों के बारे में बात नहीं हुई है लॉ के अंदर, buy, use and possession. Let us see what is the effect of it. Interestingly, in section 7 there is a punishment only for section 4 violation, right? Only for section 4 violation there is a punishment. That means जो कुछ भी section 4 में mentioned नहीं है, like buy, possession और smoke, जो कुछ भी section 4 में mentioned नहीं है उसके लिए punishment नहीं हो सकता. There is no punishment for that. Okay. and एक criminal law का बहुत important rule होता है, जो you must learn that today, that whatever is not prohibited is actually permitted. What did I just say? Whatever is not prohibited, if not prohibited, okay, or in other words, if not banned, अगर banned नहीं है, रोका नहीं गया है, so that actually means it is permitted. That is the aspect, that is the legality of consumption, usage, possession, purchase of vapes or e-cigarettes in India. So can we conclude that the possession and smoking or using it is not punishable, is not criminal? Absolutely correct. So let us say a person goes to, he meets with an agent or a supplier, a man is supplying e-cigarettes, and so the supplier is liable under the law. The supplier will be liable for selling it, for storing the product wherever he has, or even for maybe advertisement if he has done that. but the buyer will not be liable either for buying or use, right, or for personal consumption, like I said. Okay, but then if the buyer buys a lot of products and further distributes it or further resales the same, then he can be held liable, because now he is engaging himself with the commercial activity, which is the trade related purpose, and therefore he will definitely be liable for the same. Okay, so this gives us a lot of clarity that the criminal liability is only for trade related purposes. Absolutely correct. So there is another section. Okay, this I've already explained. Storage is not the same as possession. I said possession maybe simply keeping something in your pocket, carrying something somewhere, that's possession. Okay, let's say a man is carrying a vape to the airport. Okay, so obviously they will not allow him to carry it in the plane. They will ask him to just leave it outside, but then no criminal charges can be levied against him. No criminal punishment can be imposed upon him, because possession in itself is not a crime. Okay, and there is no storage, like I said. So yeah, knowingly permitting storage would definitely be a crime. I've already explained that. This is already clear, and this is the conclusion. This is the final conclusion with respect to the consumption of vape, which is not criminalized, possession, etc. Right? For self-use. So you see, this is a law that is biased towards buyers, or I would say is favoring the buyers, right? Because there is no liability for them. Okay. So this is now this is about overriding effect. What it means in section 14. So it says that the act priority there is a priority in the act over inconsistent laws, does not expand the scope of offences beyond what is written. Very, very important. This again is a strong evidence against no criminal liability. It says it does not expand the scope of offences beyond what is written. So जितना लिखा है, जितना जो examples हैं, like import, export, advertisement, sale, storage, okay, all of that, जो लिखा है केवल वही punishable है, otherwise everything, nothing else is punishable, right? Okay, so this is done, and I guess this is the again the legitimate conclusion. That's the real legal reality versus popular belief, because you will see a lot of people saying that, oh, e-cigarettes are banned in India, you can't smoke it, you can't buy it, you can't keep it, or you can't do this and that. But you should know the law. As of now, that's the law, right? um, I also think, because this could be a potentially good passage for your examination, because wherever there, if you are already influenced by a popular belief, okay, if you already are influenced by a popular belief or a popular notion, and you are given a definition of certain law in the exam, you might make a mistake by not really looking at the law, by not really looking at the provisions of the law, but by getting influenced by what you already think is correct. So a lot of people would definitely make mistake in understanding the true meaning or interpretations of the law, right? So yeah, let's keep the popular belief aside and just focus on the letter of the law. Nothing is more important, more relevant than the letter of the law eventually. Okay, I hope it is clear, absolutely clear. Vidushi, I can't see your comment. Is the similar law for normal cigarettes? Is there any similar law for normal cigarettes? Yes. So normal law, I mean, the law for traditional tobacco consumption is, that Cigarette and Other Tobacco Product Prohibition Act is there. But then normal cigarettes are not banned. You see, normal cigarettes or tobacco products are not banned, but they are their purchase or sale or usage is limited because this can't be done to minors, number one, right? Minors can't be sold traditional tobacco products, including cigarettes, and also that authentic, real products have to be sold. There can be no adulteration, I would say, and it should not be a fake product, right? तो वो सब चीजें उसके अंदर covered है, and of course what content it can have or it cannot have वो सब है, but in normal sense, traditional way of tobacco consumption is permitted in all senses, right? Even selling, importing, exporting, advertisement is not permitted. Yes, advertisement of tobacco in any form, even if it is a normal traditional way of tobacco, advertisement is just not permitted. In fact, there is this regulation that says that you have to display on the front what is the harmful effect of it, and the ingredients, of course, and that what can possibly be the consequences. तो वो सब वहाँ पे include करना पड़ता है, and that again is absolutely legally correct because reasonable restrictions can be put. Okay, if you know about constitution, on one side you have a fundamental right to carry on trade and business, but on the other side the government can also put reasonable restrictions on the exercise of this fundamental right. So the prohibition on advertisement and a warning or a disclaimer falls under reasonable restrictions. I hope it is clear now. Let me know if it is absolutely clear. So that is it for today. It was a short topic. Just needed to give you some clarity, and what the lesson learned should be that when you read the law, read word by word, and just imagine that what this word really means, what is the limit to this word or legal term will apply, what is the maximum interpretation that can be applied here. Okay, but never assume things which are not clearly mentioned, and also not impliedly inferred. Never assume that. And there's this very important principle of law that I just explained, which is whatever is not prohibited is actually permitted, and this is right, especially with respect to criminal law. So India में जो भी criminal laws हैं, like you will see POCSO, we have BNS, we have BNSS, we have a lot of laws, criminal and civil. So things which are prohibited there are the only things which are prohibited, right? Apart from that, things are permitted. And if the government has an intent to prohibit something, it will come up with a regulation or a law or a circular expressly prohibiting the same, right? In the absence of which it is not a crime. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching this. Share it among your friends and among your groups to burst any kind of myth that they may have normally, and subscribe the channel for future sessions. Also, we will keep coming up with such interesting sessions where we get to learn the law also, and also the topic is important for us for legal awareness, right? Thank you so much. All the very best for your examination, and I'll see you all very, very soon.